the fuck is wrong with capitalism right now?
Honestly, we got to talk about capitalism. I was going to say, if this was a Monopoly board, I'd chuck it against a wall.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't even have started the game because I hate Monopoly, but I see where you're going with that.
No one likes that game.
My brother does because he's a Capricorn, but
that makes so much
sense.
sense.
I watched Price is Right for fun. So
that tracks.
Hello and welcome to Cosmic Buffet, formerly known as Cosmic Gumbo.
This is one of our dishes in our large offering of menu items, the menu chalkboard of zodiac stuff. Yeah.
Our menu of astrology, pop culture, some little bit of politics, a little bit of current events, and lots of giggling, usually. We are your hosts. I'm Camille, otherwise known as Cosmic Cannibal, and...
Hey, it's me. My name's Katie.
Okay, so before we really get down into the nuts and bolts of this episode, which is going to focus largely on, April's astrology, in particular, Mercury Retrograde, because it lasts all month, the Aries Solar Eclipse, because apparently it's going to be the end of the world, and then also everything else that we feel fits within that construct.
Yeah, pretty much. A lot of it has to do with the, capitalism.
Yeah. And so before we get down into that, we want to give a shout out to one of our viewers, Dr.
Jedi Vampire God King. He he had asked a good question on our YouTube asking what our birthdays are. I'm a Leo, July Leo.
I'm a June Gemini. So he asked us, or they asked us, I assume masculine from that, but I don't know. Absolutely. Anybody could be a PhD in this fellow or fellows. Yes.
And they can also be a god, a king, a Jedi, and a vampire. It's pretty cool. I'm genuinely pretty jealous.
Yeah, so this person, Dr. Jedi Vampire God King, shout out to you, asked us, if we're Geminis, because we have a lot of Gemini energy, and they are correct. I'm a June Gemini, and Katie has her ascendant in Gemini, so.
That's correct. Yeah.
You got it, Dr. Jedi Vampire God King.
That's why we vibe so well.
If you have a question you want us to answer on our next podcast, whenever that might be,
just ask it away, fire it away. You can follow us on Instagram. Our official account is Cosmic Gumbo Podcast.
You can find us on Substack at cosmicbuffet.substack.com.
That's for all of our seasonal offerings.
Yes. I'm sure there's going to be some more satirical pieces, or maybe, pieces that we can write if we're just pissed off about things.
Genuinely, whenever we have the time.
Yeah, because that's the thing. Before we started this, Katie, you and I were talking about how busy we've been.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, I had a surgery back in February that kind of put us off the rails for a while, and then it's like one of those things where it's like, oh yeah, after the holidays I'm gonna have so much free time, and now I'm like, oh, I have less free time than I did during the holidays.
And because of that, I mean, I want to dive into that, but we've been like frazzled. We've been tense. Obviously there's a lot going on, societally, globally, that's very worrisome and weighing on us every moment of every day. But then there's that we're just going work, hustle, that we don't get that chance to just stop, even for 10 minutes, to be.
Yeah. I mean, we both work full-time jobs, and we're also doing this it's kind of, not that this is our side hustle or anything, but it's definitely one of those things where it's like, I feel a strong urge and want to do this podcast because it's pretty fun, and I hope you guys think it's fun too.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, is that I mean, I was having this conversation with my boyfriend Jeff the other day. We're both artists, he and I. We just like to paint for fun, right?
Yeah.
But it's like I've noticed that before, it's like you can't even go downstairs to paint because you think, because of this capitalist structure that we just have sort of ingrained in our DNA, there's no point in doing this for fun. I should have to somehow make a profit off of it, or I should be, it should be for something. And maybe that's just me.
I feel the exact same way. I am a huge hobby gardener. I love to grow plants. My dining room's full of succulents and plants, and just like, here's my snake plant, for example. But like, we started actually getting ready to start, veggies. So we're growing peppers and tomatoes and tomatillos and that kind of stuff, and basically all the nightshades we can. And like, we're working on our backyard. That's actually we broke a sledgehammer on a stump just this past weekend. It's like a really rotten, gross old stump, and we're trying to put a greenhouse on top of it where it is. And I was telling my husband Tom, I was like, yeah, like I want to start growing microgreens. And then I was like, oh, I got kind of excited, and I was like, I could grow microgreens and sell them to local restaurants. And then it kind of like made me a little sad, a little excited. I might still do it. I think I'm probably going to do it. But like, it's just one of those things where I was like, we shouldn't have to commercialize and commoditize our hobbies.
Right. And it's there's so many things that we could pick apart with that. I mean, it has so much to do with capitalist culture and the way that it's that hustle, go, go, go mindset. You always got to be building something. You always got to be making money. But it's also the fact that we're, most of us are usually living hand to fist. Like, it's just like,
absolutely,
we don't have money. So anything that you're doing with your free time, you have to monetize, it seems, because it feels like it's a waste of time if you're not doing that.
I think we're the first generation. I mean, we're both millennials. I think we're the first generation that has had to have 6 jobs just to afford an apartment. Gosh, yeah. We were at Costco eating a cookie because we've got those hot cookies now. And so it's like back, like when you remember when we used to go to Whole Foods all the time and we'd get those hot vegan cookies. They're not vegan, which is unfortunate. But I'm still like, that's not going to stop me. It's all the butter, all the eggs, but like they're like, they keep them on a hot plate. And so we were eating our hot little cookie at Costco's like food court the other day, and these 2 dudes next to me were like, if you're not dating to get your wife, what are you even doing, bro? So me and Tom are like, if you're not maxing your cookies allotment during the day, it's like, it's really sad to hear people having like a normal conversation like that.
Yeah.
God, hustle culture did that.
It did. And like, I think now that we're moving through, like, we're not knee deep in Aries season, but we've, Aries season started last week, right? Is that what it was?
Yeah, it was like, what, Wednesday?
Yeah, I think it was Tuesday, but pretty much going to Wednesday because it was like Tuesday night. And so I found yesterday, which was the lunar eclipse, time, full moons, generally you kind of want to like take it easy because there's a lot of heightened emotions and heightened just, emotions are feelings, but heightened activity going on, usually like around you and typically worldwide.
Absolutely.
I kind of want to slow down, but I found I was working till like 7 p.m. on my computer and working on this other thing that I have to turn into a side hustle because
God, right? You're gonna hustle yourself into an early grave.
Yeah, like all I wanted to do was sit down and like, stretch because my whole body hurt and I couldn't do that. I don't know if that, I mean, it's like a combination of the capitalist hustle culture. I think our generation, you're right, the millennials, it's like we have no choice, right?
Absolutely.
Because we were kind of given a system that worked until it didn't, but it probably never did.
Actively working against us.
And then with that, it's like I was talking about Aries season. It's the start of spring, so it's like, oh, winter's over, and I mean, we were still getting really bad snowstorms, but it's like this, I felt really good at the beginning of Aries season because I thought, oh, finally, like I feel sort of vivified. But then it was like the next day I was already tired.
You know, when you leave work and the sun's out and you feel like you did ecstasy because you're like, shit, yeah, I've got the rest of this afternoon to do. That's kind of how like a little bit of last week felt. Like even into like last weekend, it's been cold and like just rainy and overcast. I mean, it's getting green out here, but like it's kind of like, yeah, I feel like I did a party drug. Like, fuck yeah, like I'm ready for the sun. And I know that's the big Leo in me. Like I'm just like, I just want to like, I'm not the type to sit on a beach. I can't sit still, but I want to be just drenched in sun, not sweaty, but like just like, oh, cozy, warm. Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I felt too. And I was like, even the air here in Colorado, I'm like, it's starting to smell like spring. Like it.
Oh, that like, yes.
I'm like, oh yeah. We have more sunlight, right? We had the change. But then there's also like sort of the, devil on the shoulder of that being like, you have more energy. You got to do more stuff, accomplish more things, set more goals, go, 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 go,
Truly. Yeah, I definitely understand that. I was like excited because I was finally texting you again. Not that it's like we're the kind of friends, we're like we won't text for a while, but we pick up right where we left off. So I was like, yeah, let's get this going. Let's plan some stuff. I finally have the energy and the bandwidth to handle this. But I swear it's like, I don't know if it's just that like pre-retrograde shadow thing that's going on that coincided with the lunar eclipse, but like I just like it's like zapped. Like I have just been dragging ass.
Yeah, it's like I peaked in the first week of Aries season, and then I'm like, oh
yes.
and I was thinking we were supposed to actually record. We had talked about this on March 9th.
Yes.
And I remember like, I don't know if you texted me close to that day, but I was like, please don't ask if you want to record. So I did not have the same.
Yeah. I don't know. I find myself always like, Pisces and like, especially during Cancer season, I find myself kind of like, this is a time that I need to just like exist. Like I don't need expectations out of me. Fire season, like like I can deal with it during like Leo and Aries and those kind of times, but it's like other times I'm just like I just want to snuggle up in a blanket and eat a hot Costco cookie.
Right, and it felt like last night was the first night in probably 2 weeks where I actually got like a full night's sleep. I've been having insomnia. I've been having like just being woken up. We had terrible wind the other night that kept waking everybody up. But it's like, it's that, and then it's just the stress of life, but also the stress that I put on myself because I think, oh, well, now it's like springtime, and now you got to go, and now you got to accomplish things, and now you got to like, start building because, hey, May's coming up, which means June's coming up. And, and like it just keeps going.
It's birthday time. No, just kidding.
Yeah, that's what it is. Like you gotta be ready for June.
If you're not pre-gaming your birthday in March, what are you even doing, bro? Yeah.
But it's like go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
No, you go.
No, yeah.
I was gonna say, but I'm glad you brought up Mercury retrograde because that's one of the things we want to talk about. Mercury stations, like it officially stations retrograde in Aries, April 1st, and it's going to retrograde until April 25th. So it's pretty much the entire month of April.
Yeah.
I want to hear maybe your experiences, any sort of thing you might have had or dealt with Mercury retrograde. And are you on the fence of like, which camp are you in? Are you in the ones that are like, okay, everybody shut down, we're done? Or are you just sort of like, whatever?
I feel like I'm kind of like I don't know. I feel like I'm definitely, it's like I was saying earlier before we started recording. I feel like Mercury retrograde is kind of like how it was for the people during the pandemic, where it's like they either get their asses kicked or they flourish, but there's not like a lot of middle ground. But I find like I'm kind of in that middle ground. It just kind of, wax and wanes for each. I think each Mercury, like, each retrograde, I find that it's like either I'm like, fuck this retrograde, I'm done. Just bury me, wake me up when it's over, wake me up when September ends.
Yeah.
Or like, I'm like Yeah, or I'm like, yeah, I'm doing pretty good. This is good. I don't know what you guys are talking about.
That's kind of how I feel a lot of the time. And it's interesting because, going back to Dr. Jedi Vampire God King,
Mhm.
um,
Our number one
I have
fan.
a Gemini ascendant. I'm a Gemini sun.
Mhm.
Gemini's ruled by Mercury, so we're a lot more sensitive or, responsive to those Mercury retrograde cycles,
Yeah.
at least traditionally, right? That's
Yeah.
what the astrology tells us. But for me, it's like I'm always making mistakes in
Mhm.
copy. I'm always flubbing people's name, misspelling things, sending things that I shouldn't have sent before double checking them. So Mercury
Honestly,
retrograde doesn't change that for me. I'm just a
I'm the
dumb,
exact same way.
like I'm just flat out an idiot, and I have dyslexia sometimes. So
Honestly, no, I have like the dyscalculia with numbers as well as dyslexia. So I'm like, I also just like to rush through things because I want to be done with the task as soon as I start it.
right,
Like
and
as soon as I start it, I'm like, I'm over it. I'm done. Unless it's something that brings me a lot of joy. And then I'm like, ooh, I'm gonna take 3 days to do this thing. But yeah.
the things that take me joy, my brain moves at hyper speeds that
Yeah.
I can't be like, oh, let me slow down and look at this. It's like I'll be like looking at it
And
quickly
also,
and then
yeah, if it's something that gives you joy, I mean, you're gonna inherently be better at it because it's like that's something that you're gonna statistically put more practice into.
that use of the word statistically took me back to NBC's The Weakest Link, when they used to say they'd be like voting the person off, and then the narrator would come on. Statistically, Amber is the worst player in this round.
It's so funny. No, that's true. That's
And there was
Amber is the
no
worst
point to
player.
that. There was just what.
I forgot about it. Yeah, it's like
You are. I feel like we're all the weakest link in this
this. Yeah.
because of capitalism.
Ooh. I was talking to my coworker today. Um, shout out Cameron. Hope she listens. But I was talking
Hi,
to her today about planned obsolescence, and she was, she's talking about her car. It's European, and she's like, as soon as I hit 100,000 miles, my car started being like, oh, did my brakes always make that noise? And I'm like, yeah, my phone is an iPhone 12, and it is buggy as hell now, and it's just like. I feel like, our it almost feels like our lives are kind of being obsoletely planned. Like we are having a little bit of planned obsolescence lately. It just feels more and more. I saw a video that was talking about an AI robot masseuse. And this somebody was like, wow, I never thought my job would be up for grabs by like robots. And I was like, oh my God. Yeah,
right?
it's
That
like,
I
phase us out.
there's a lot with that because recently I saw a news story about how Apple is coming under fire because there's like by the Justice Department, they're claiming
Yeah.
that, Apple deliberately has monopolized the market because they want to make sure that you have those obsolete functions if you're on another phone or another
Absolutely.
phone.
Yeah. And I feel
And
like that's oh go
go
ahead. I was just gonna say it's like a good metaphor too for society because it's like we're like especially people that are having to work like 8 or 9 jobs. It's an exaggeration, but I'm sure it's out there. Those people aren't gonna be able to afford those like luxury items. And like their photos are gonna get sent through those to an iPhone and they're gonna look terrible because of that. Gosh, just because of capitalism, like they're going to be, if I have a little bit of that prejudice when I see a green bubble, I'm like, oh, great, I can't get out of this group text, but like,
right.
yeah,
Well, I mean, my mom is an Aries,
hmm
and growing up, she worked 3 jobs for
yeah,
just to be able for all of us. And my dad worked a job,
hmm
but just so that we could afford food, car
hmm
payments, and rent. We didn't have extra money for phones. None of us got phones like this until we were much, much, much older. And my brother and I ended up paying for our own, if not helping pay for our parents' phones because
yeah.
Like, that's the way the system is. If you're already not making a lot of money, it's really hard to get out of that because you have to work 3, 4, 5 jobs just to survive, let alone this isn't a luxury anymore. Like, this is something
That's a
that
standard
you need.
necessity.
And you need a really good computer, and you need really good internet access. You need to be able to just like to function as an employee. You need these things that, as someone within that bracket, is a luxury. And it's like, what the fuck, world?
Yeah. The odds are so stacked against people that just so happen to have been born, in a certain tax bracket. And I think that's just so, pardon my language, but that's fucked up. That's truly fucked up. Or God forbid they have a different skin color, or
God, right? And so, while we're kind of talking about phones, that's something that usually Mercury retrograde screws up.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I say that sort of jokingly, but Mercury rules communication, and it also rules electronics.
Absolutely.
And then by extension, I think it rules mechanics. And so it rules like machinery in the sense of your laundry, your refrigerator, your car. And so people think, oh, like Mercury retrograde, double check your emails. Don't send that text to that ex. When it's also like, what if your car just stops working?
Truly.
And could we see that happen, or could we see more of what we've been seeing with the airplanes?
So, or that boat that hit that bridge today, their power went out.
Yeah, power outages. Power outages are also connected to eclipses. And so we just had that lunar eclipse yesterday. And so eclipses kind of feel like Mercury retrograde in that power is, it kind of goes, because you think about the sun, it's our major source of power. Like, it's the source of light. For you and I, we love the sun. It's like heat and warmth, and everybody's
like lizards.
Yeah. But when we have an eclipse, something obscures the sun, right? Usually it's either the moon or the earth, right? They come into their little tango with one another, depending on the type of eclipse it is. And so that can cause, like we just saw, a literal power outage. And the moon rules like bodies of water.
Yeah.
We know that the moon, the tides, they're always going in tandem with the waxing and waning of the moon and all that fun stuff. So you think about this boat on water had a power outage that then, I don't know, did it completely destroy the bridge or what?
Oh no, yeah, it completely, like, it destroyed. That bridge is fucked. They're lucky it happened at 3 a.m. too, so no cars were on it or anything like that I know of. 6 people are unaccounted for, which is tragic. And it was like a giant, like, what's crazy is that boat had been in an accident previously in like 2015 or 2016 in Brussels, Belgium. It like hit the side of a quay, like the river quay, or like and I just,
Mercury retrograde, I wouldn't say that it would cause like major collapses like that. That's very much an eclipse thing. But power outages, I've had my car's really old, but my car, like, just go on the fritz all of a sudden during Mercury retrograde. And my phone, we've had problems with apps. You've seen it on the news.
Oh, absolutely.
I think that might come up more and more, but because it's in Aries, Aries is a fire sign, right?
Yeah.
Aries is about sort of leadership. It's about kind of like warrior courage. So I mean, there might be something military.
Well, if you think about it, like in Aries is the god of war. So like, well, and we're kind of, I don't know. It's that eclipse, or the solar eclipse coming up on the 8th of April too. That's just, and all of the kind of stuff going on around the world, like there's that genocide that's happening in Palestine. There's Haiti is going through some shit right now. I know
everywhere.
Joseph Biden, I'm gonna call him by his government name. He is like he's enacting like an embargo on like Cuba again. So it's like Bay of Pigs. There's just so much stuff going on. I could go on for the rest of this episode just listing things that are happening. And it's just I'm like, okay, is things gonna ramp up? Are we looking at like there's gonna be even more going on? Because God of War.
So my anxiety says yes, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh no, I've got a backup plan for my backup plan.
Yeah, like that's just the reaction I have when I look at certain things because I just have anxiety. And so I go, oh, you know, I just kind of freak out. And then I have to go, well, okay, maybe don't interpret it or don't immediately just interpret it with that fear mindset.
Absolutely. Yeah. I don't know.
But
You know.
you know, the Aries solar eclipse is really interesting because it is, and it's also, you're right, it's in Aries, okay, leadership sign. It has to do with war. I don't think like another war is going to break out. I'm not saying that.
Oh no, yeah, no, I'm not implying that either.
Like we're in no way trying to fearmonger or anything like that.
No, if it does, if anything, it makes me kind of like think of the conspiracy theories around this lunar eclipse
The solar eclipse.
or the solar eclipse. Yeah, you know. Oh, sorry, I
Well,
worked this all day today. My brain is mush.
that's okay. But what I was going to say is there's also we have a Kazemi, which is a direct conjunction.
Mhm.
It's Kazemi means like a planet is in the heart of the sun, so it is like really, really close to the sun. It receives all its warmth and all these things. But the thing that is Kazemi on the Aries solar eclipse is Chiron, which is an asteroid of. I mean, if you know the mythology of Chiron, he was a healer, but it's the asteroid of like wounds,
Mhm.
pain, the things that hurt. It's like these really tender spots within your psyche, mostly.
Absolutely.
And it's those, you know, those tender wounds, whatever, that we can usually transmute to then help and heal others once we've healed them. But because it's in the heart of this solar eclipse and it's a solar eclipse, I think, you know, the sun being this planet or body, it's not a planet, but it's a body of leadership, authority, energy, willpower. I think we're going to see a lot of talk about how leadership, how people in leadership are handling the pain and the grief and the sorrow that's going on in our world. I think there's going to be other things because there's also something going on with the North Node in Aries, and that's a point that's always sort of striving and wanting more. And then I just came to understand that we're also going to be seeing what's called the Devil Comet. You know, not a great name. It has that name because I guess you can see two horns, but that's going to be visible.
Good for her.
Yeah, right. So that's like the astrology of it.
Yeah.
I actually made an eclipse class, like workshop thing. Shout out. You can get that at cosmiccamel.com. But in that I talk about how this Aries is ruled by Mars.
Mhm.
And so Mars is then sort of the ruler of this solar eclipse. Mars just moved into Pisces on the 22nd.
Okay.
And so I feel like that has Mars in Pisces can be like at its worst, it can be passive aggressive, it can be inactive,
Oh
it can
gosh.
be responsive.
Yeah.
At its best, it acts with compassion, it acts for the, you know, care and consideration of all. That I'm not saying, you know, anything specifically is going to happen because I don't know.
I mean, no one knows.
They're kind of like the two choices that we have with what's going on. Are you just going to keep going with the way it's going? Because I don't want to rock the boat.
Absolutely.
Or do you want to actually make a stand and do something that benefits everybody and, you know, helps heal people?
Absolutely. Yeah. Oh gosh,
Sorry,
absolutely.
that was a long.
No, no, I know, I love that. Yeah, that was it is important, especially within your local communities, to kind of advocate for what people around you need as well as yourself. I mean, always, always, always take care of yourself as much as you can first, but like um ask for what you need, that kind of stuff. But like I definitely think that, you know, we could all do so much better for our local communities. We could all do so much better um being there, and maybe, you know, using Chiron, and you know, like being, you know, obviously get yourself healthy first before you can take care of other people. But you know, just even asking a neighbor, hey, can I help you with anything, what do you need? That's
Right?
huge. Being there for your local community, as far as like if you have any Palestinian neighbors, you know, reach out, offer them some support, or you know, local groups that are helpful in dealing with social justice, or you know, tenants unions, that kind of stuff.
Well, and
This would be a good time to do that.
I agree. And I think one of the things that has kind of been on my mind in looking at this astrology and listening to what other people are sort of saying about it, and a lot
Mhm.
of the weird conspiracy theories, which we'll get to.
Absolutely.
Um, you know, okay, Aries is ruled by Mars. Everybody hated Mars in mythology. Everybody hated
Yeah.
Aries. Like in both Greek and Roman mythology, both those two were like the pariah of the Greek gods or Roman gods. And I think that's kind of shitty of this interpretation, because Aries can be really courageous. Aries can be really
Absolutely.
generous. It
Super
can,
brave.
yeah,
Yeah.
it can lead from the heart. It can give to others. And it really cares about being a champion for other people, especially the underdog. And
Yeah.
that's how I like want people to, or how I, urge people to sort of view this.
Absolutely.
It doesn't always have to be destruction and badness and all this
Oh,
stuff.
absolutely. I just meant like Greek mythology wise earlier, but like, yeah, definitely. No, like my friend Cameron that I work with, she is a first day of Aries season Aries. And so
Aries.
yeah, she's just so gentle, and just so she's very sweet, you know, and like it's one of those things that I don't think a lot of people, I don't know, I didn't even know she was an Aries, to be completely honest, until she told me, and then I was like, wait, what? But like,
It's
because
not
their
the
sister
thing that
sign is,
they say.
yeah, like their sister sign is Libra, and like it's just Libras are very showy, very much like a gimme, gimme, gimme kind of sign, in my opinion. And sorry if you are a Libra, I'm not coming for you. But
I love
then,
Libras.
yes, exactly. But like, I feel like Aries are very much like a just shut up and do it kind of sign, and I think that's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, I know I kind of am having problems with her right now, but Lady Gaga is an Aries.
She's a tiny queen
She's
too.
a queen, but she's a really good example of how an Aries is. They're pioneering. They lead from the heart. They're very authentic. They're very raw, but they give a shit about other people. And
Absolutely.
they'll be the ones to be like, all right, I'm stepping up to the plate. I'll do it since all you all are sitting on
Kind
your
of like a martyr, you know?
ass, but like good.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's,
And so
yeah,
that's my little like soapbox about Aries, because I think that there's going to be, or there is just common stereotypes and crap about Aries always being like warmongering and always being, aggressive and assertive. And my mom's an Aries. She's aggressive and assertive, but it's endearing because she's the one that's going to make things happen a lot.
yeah,
And she's the one that's going to be like, oh, I only have $20 in my pocket. Here, I'll give it to this person who needs that $20.
absolutely.
And it's
Um,
like going back to the capitalist thing that we were mentioning. It's that capitalist structure, that competitive you versus this person over here, me versus you,
absolutely.
has torn us away from that thing of like, hey, well, we're
That's
all in that together.
yeah. Yeah, that's I mean, it's crazy because it's like, I mean, the most common sign for a president is a Scorpio, so if that put,
Yeah.
but yeah, no, there's like this like
Scares me.
super disgusting, divide across the nation right now that is people. That's what, like, if we would just get out there and, I'm gonna get back on my soapbox about community work, but it's like if you get out there and you get to know your neighbors and you get to know your local community, that kind of closes that wedge just like incrementally, little bit by little bit. And it's like, even, getting to know people that might be across the political aisle from you and trying to see things from their perspective, but also seeing things, like have them try and see things from your perspective, super helpful. Obviously don't put yourself in a dangerous situation, that kind of stuff, but um but or I just, it's one of those things where it's like I love to call the zodiac like space racism, because it's like you can't help what time of year you were born. And I do love to shit on Virgos a lot. I mean it from like it's almost like a big sister kind of way, where it's like,
Exactly.
nobody's allowed to talk shit about Virgos but me, because I'm above them, because it's zodiac sign wise. But like definitely, I think it's like this is a time when we all need to come together, especially during a fucking retrograde, more than ever.
Yeah, right. Mercury is retrograde while we have that solar eclipse,
which is going to be a nightmare.
Yeah,
for some people. Some people are going to flourish.
Yeah, I think it's. I mean, I hate to make forecasts I can't keep, right?
Absolutely. So then you just be a weatherman.
Exactly. I mean, that's essentially how I feel a lot of the time. But
I call it a forecast.
Looking at, we've been teasing these. We just got to talk about these conspiracies. But I will say, after I look at those things and I see how people are creating a lot of unnecessary fear when we already have fear and anxiety. It's like we're already at this tipping point. All of us, I think, collectively, we're like, ooh. And when you see people saying, "Oh, well, this day it's going to make this happen, or this is going to lead to that," it's like, why are you doing that to people? Why? It makes me so mad, because it's like there are some people who might not have as much of a, not that I have such a sturdy grip on my emotional container, but I know when I'm like freaking out, so I can be like, put your phone down. Some people don't, or some people might be younger and they think what they see on their phone is truth, and or they might be on Truth Social, and they think, oh, because I'm reading this and it's on the internet, it's true, I should believe it, I'm gonna freak out. It's so wrong. And I think maybe it's because of the Gemini that it makes me so mad that people are misusing information in that way, and especially with this event. I'm on a major soapbox today. I'm sorry.
No, I love it. That kind of makes me think, though. I've been seeing a lot of things about like how Gen Alpha's doomed, and like Gen Z, there's no media literacy, and I think that's kind of a privilege to have. To have an English teacher that says the door is blue. Why is the door blue? And to like, okay, why did he hand her a yellow flower? That kind of stuff. Like those kind of where you have to sit and parse out, okay, this text is telling me one thing. What are they really trying to say? Is really important. But I think that's a really big privilege for a lot of people to have had those kind of educator experiences, or to have those experiences in life that help them realize, like, all right, this is bullshit. What they're feeding me is bullshit. Like I saw a tweet just recently. I will refuse to call it by its new name. It's Twitter. So I saw a tweet. I'm gonna dead name it. But it was like a tweet that said, trillions of dollars of propaganda didn't work on me. And I was like, I feel really proud that that's kind of how I feel as well. But like, there's other people who will see that and be like, yeah, that's why I don't get vaccines. And that's why I try to do this. And it's kind of, people just need to go out and touch grass. Like, go out, look at the stars if you can, if your city is not terrible. But honestly, and like, read some books. And I know that's also a privilege. That's a privilege to have the time to sit down. I don't have that kind of time to sit down
Yeah.
and read, nor do I have the attention span or the ability, because I will sit down and I'll open a book and it'll be like I'm trying to read one since June of last year called The Cost of a Whale. And like I've been trying to read it, but every time I sit down, I'm like, I could be doing laundry. I could be doing this. I could go out and I could do this and better myself this, blah, 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 blah. I have a hard time shutting down
Yeah.
what I need to. But I think it's just AI is going to fuck us in that way as well. Cause it's like, I saw a really convincing picture the other day and I was like, is this real?
Right.
And it's just gonna get worse.
So like that's how I feel. This is kind of a crude and somewhat simplistic way of illustrating your point, but I was on Pinterest the other day because I love looking at pictures
You've
of hair.
loved Pinterest since we first started hanging out. What, like 10 years ago?
That Pinterest is not sponsoring this podcast, by the way, but they could be, you know. No, but I was on there and I'm like, on your Pinterest feed, you know, they're like, you might like this, just because I've looked at 800 pictures of bob haircuts. And I'm looking at this one, I'm like, it doesn't look like a real human, but like it's human enough, you know?
Uncanny Valley.
Yeah, and I'm like, I click on it and then I see other pictures underneath it. Now people are using AI to create pictures for Pinterest for you to click on their thing to go to their website to get your information. Like, when will it end? You know, it's like I can't even have my own like bobs from Instagram anymore because AI is making fake bob and lob hair pictures because they're trying to just infiltrate every little space that we consume any type of media.
Absolutely.
What end? Like, what is the purpose of that? I don't have the answer to that, but I do want to say, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna kind of interject real quick. I noticed I've not been using Instagram as much as I usually do. Usually I am fucking glued to that app and like it's not healthy. I don't have really Facebook at all. But like I mean it exists. I don't go on it. But like
My mom sends
Instagram
me
though,
messages and I'm like, I don't look at that.
yeah, I'm not 85 years old. I don't need Facebook. But like Instagram though, that's an app for millennials, built by millennials for millennials. But it's got me hooked. But yeah, so I've not been using it as much. And like when I'll go on like my For You page or whatever to search for something, search for an account, and I'll just see the most unhinged shit because now the algorithm doesn't know who I am. It doesn't know what I want. All the ads are so weird.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is what it feels like to be a boomer, I bet. Like, this is like me. I'm like, you know, microdosing being a boomer because I'm like, it'll be like, do you want these socks? And then the next one will be like,
are you an entrepreneur? Come join our
Genuinely.
entrepreneur class.
Do you hate women?
Yeah.
And that's kind of the cognitive dissonance I've been having lately. And this is why I kind of stopped using it anyways, is like I'll go on in the morning or whatever when I'm drinking my coffee and I'll scroll a little bit. I post a bunch of shit about, you know, political stuff that I find interesting onto my story. And that's kind of what I do now. But before I was like on it constantly and I'd be like, okay, scroll, picture of shoes, scroll, dead child in like during the genocide. And then it'd be like scroll. And then it'd be like recipe video and then scroll comedy. You know what I mean? Like, and then you'd go back to war and then all this kind of stuff. And it's just so, I'm not actively choosing to not see it out of ignorance. I'm just like for my own well-being. I can't endure that. No one is supposed to be able to see this much information. We weren't built for that.
No, it's such a sensory overload. Like we were talking before about how we both, I think, did you mention breaking down in Las Vegas or was that just my solo story?
Oh no, I was talking about
you went for a run.
How overwhelming it was. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
I broke down during a run. I had like an actual like cathartic emotional release on a run and I felt like I saw God's face and it was a tissue.
But like I equate it to that where first time I went to Las Vegas, I'm walking the strip and there's just an influx of sights, sounds, smells, sticky things and
Feelings.
and people in bikinis, old people. These people are breakdancing. What are these people doing? People are having drinks and they're just all walking. It's like a freeway of human bodies. And then
Yes.
I'm caught in the middle of it going, I'm from Colorado. We don't have this kind of traffic anywhere, like
People complain and think they have this kind of traffic, but it's not.
yeah. And then I just broke down in a restaurant. I just cried in the bathroom because I was just so overwhelmed. That's how I feel when I go on Instagram. I'll post something that I made on TikTok, which is another overwhelming platform. But then I have to like immediately get off because I'm just like,
Absolutely.
I realize I start to have those thoughts, those insecure thoughts. Like I'm like, oh, I don't get as many likes as this person, or why don't I make content? Why isn't it getting this? Or that person has so many followers, and I'm just like, shut up. Like I don't even want to hear it. I just turn it off.
Quote that says comparison is the thief of joy is like it lives rent free with me because I'm like I feel like once I kind of stopped being like, okay, every single thing I do has to be a hustle, I kind of was like, it took a lot. It's a lot of like cognitive kind of restructuring within myself. I still feel that way. Like I still have my like my little impulses where I'm like, I'm gonna grow microgreens and sell them. Oh,
I feel like it's more like us being our hopeful, ambitious selves. Like we're like, hey, this thing can really work out and I could do what I love.
Absolutely.
From it. And then I won't have to do the thing that I don't love to make money.
And I think that's like most of us, like millennials and even Gen Z. I'm sure Gen X is in there too. Hey guys, you exist. Sorry, you're like the middle kids. Like, but like, I feel like it's it's definitely you find something that you're good at. Like I hate yarn, so I could never be good at crocheting, but like people that are good at crocheting and then all of a sudden they open an Etsy page where all they do is crochet. And then it's like, I don't want to learn, like come to hate something that brings me joy. I should be able to just garden and feel peace.
That is so good. Because that's what it is. It's like I paint. I paint for fun. You have one of my paintings back there. I have a new painting. You can't really see it here. It's the one with the teal thing on it. Right?
Yeah.
That one. That's new. I did that because I was like, oh, I feel like painting again. But then there's this part of me that's like, guess what? You could start making money off your paintings. You could start selling. You did it before. And I'm like, shut up. Because I don't want that pressure on this creative hobby that just is fun for me. Because I get to listen to music for an hour and play with color on a canvas and then just go, I don't have to put it on Instagram. I don't have to put it on TikTok. I can just put it on my wall.
Yeah. You know how like in the 20s, like absinthe used to be like the little green fairy, and it was always this like little nefarious little critter that'd be like, you should drink more, you should beat your wife, like that kind of stuff in the 20s. Now it's like we have the little green fairy, but it's just a fucking green Amex we're all working towards. God.
It's just a green Amex card. That's
It's a $5 bill.
It's like, guess what? You want more of me? I love that. I think we do actually have to talk about the conspiracy theories.
Oh, we absolutely should. 100%.
Because I don't know how long we've been doing this.
I don't know either.
Time flies when we're together. That's what it is.
Me and my bestie doing prissy paws on camera for randos on the interweb.
So one of whom might be Dr. Jedi Vampire God King.
I hope he comes back. Come back to me. We're back for you.
I'm gonna tag them in this thing. So we've talked a lot about current events and Mercury retrograde. We've talked about the Aries Solar Eclipse, but we haven't talked about these conspiracy theories surrounding.
Yeah.
You wanted to mention how it's going to have an emotional impact on cardinal signs.
Yeah. So there's the cardinal signs: Aries, Cancer, Libra, Capricorn, those guys. So this is going to be a huge emotional impact for these guys. Like they're I mean, and don't get me wrong, I mean, Capricorns are pretty emotional anyways, but
Cancers.
like Libras are like, they're like, I don't know, they're all of them are pretty emotional, especially Cancer. These are the emotional ones, but this
I
is
would
really
say,
gonna hit heavy for them.
yeah, and they're starting, something's shifting for them.
Yes.
You know, and what that something is obviously depends on the person and their life circumstances.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I think that I don't know if that shift involves the end of the world. Apparently a lot of people on the interweb and TikTok think so.
You know, I wish they keep like, it's almost like a pardon my language, but it's a cock tease. Every like 10 years
Say
or
that.
20 years, they're like, the world's gonna end. And I'm like, just do it, you cowards. I don't want to die. I actually really like living, but just do it. Bring it on. I want to see,
Right? Like
you know.
it's like me with bangs. I keep telling my boyfriend, I'm gonna cut bangs or I'm gonna cut my hair, period. And he's like, yeah, I'll believe it when I see it. You guys keep telling me Y2K, what was it, 2012, the whole
Yeah, the
asteroid
Mayan calendar.
calendar, and everybody was, yeah, you know, we're all gonna, and I think it's just our collective subconscious coming out being like, just
I
do.
think this is my own personal conspiracy theory, and I know we have to talk about the actual conspiracy theories, but I think the world ended when that weasel got into the Hadron Collider in Switzerland or wherever it's located in 2015. Because that's really when shit went downhill.
Yeah.
The fucking weasel.
Fucking weasel.
It put us in a dark timeline.
Maybe there's gonna be another weasel infiltrating another place it shouldn't be.
I'm gonna start breeding weasels. If
That could be your side hustle.
I'm gonna be on a list now. I'm gonna be on a list, and it's gonna be like weasel breeder. They sound bitey.
Micro green grower.
Ferrets instead. Microgreen.
I was gonna get one of those ferrets that's attached to those balls that they used to sell at It's Your Move in the Citadel Mall.
That's a joke for just me.
Literally.
It
And it was like you passed by it a couple times, you're like, whoa, there's a ferret. And then you realize that's just an animatronic fur thing attached to a ball. Like
it's like if somebody made a Furby round and attached a tail
like,
to it.
it got old really quick
It
because
just wiggled on the ground.
it was like, and you're like, it's fake. It just has batteries in it.
Oh my god.
Come on, let's go, you know.
Quit staring at it.
But so one of the conspiracies that I've heard is that obviously the world's going to end, which I hope not. You know,
obviously, yeah.
We're not here to breed fear around that. We're more just here to make fun of the people who do that, and
also, you know, end capitalism if it wants to a little bit. You know,
right?
that's just where I'm at.
So we have that, and
you're not thinking about the revolution. What are you even doing?
Right? Come on. If a revolution isn't your side hustle, bro, what are you?
That's my retirement plan. All right, sorry.
One of the conspiracy theories is that it's going to I think it's going to start what I have come to understand as a person who, you know, was grown up Catholic, the 3-day darkness.
Oh.
And the 3-day darkness is a time where all of the light goes out, all the power goes out for 3 days. And then in those 3 days where you can't see, apparently you can't see one another, which I'm like, does that mean we all go blind? Like, are we all looking at the solar eclipse and then we decide to lose our vision? Is that what happens? There's that. And then you're not supposed to exit your house because that's where like the demons are all going to be.
That sounds so insane. I think I genuinely remember learning about this now because I was raised Catholic as well. And I'm like, oh yeah.
It sounds like an episode of Supernatural is what it sounds like.
Or like the X-Files.
Yeah. And then I read another one that it was like, it's because it's stemming from this quote from the Bible. I think they said it was Joel 2, line 31. I don't know if you want to look that up, Katie, while I'm doing this.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know the exact line, but it's something to do with like moon, the sun and moon, and all.
You want me to read it for you?
Yes.
The sun, and I'm an atheist, so this is really fun. The
Okay.
sun shall be turned into darkness, and the moon into blood before the great and terrible day of the Lord come. Kind of like a haiku.
Yeah, it's sort of like a emo haiku. Like
That's
it's that
really
one
good lyric, yeah.
angsty monk in the back of
Also, yeah. I didn't know Joel was a biblical guy.
either.
That's a guy from the 90s.
Biblical name, It's like, but that's the whole thing that they're centering this 3-day darkness. It's all the world's going to end on April 8th because apparently they say that it fulfills that particular line from the Bible. Another conspiracy theory I read while diving into that quote was that no. That means that we're all going to be fighting on the moon.
That's kind of far away. Can I do it? Can we do it in shifts? Because I'd like to sleep in my own bed.
Like nations are going to be fighting over the moon, shedding blood on the moon.
Oh, I thought you said on the moon. I was like,
no, that I did.
Oh, we're fighting for ownership of the moon.
Yeah, which does kind of fit.
They're just gonna charge us Bitcoin to own the moon.
It's that whole imperialist colonialism. Like, hey, the moon's ours now. See you later, aliens. First,
Fuck off.
But there's that, and then there's this time when I was looking into what the devil comet is about. The comets are linked to destruction.
Absolutely. I mean, what was that Heaven's Gate cult that they all were they're matching?
But that's what it sounds like.
Yeah.
That's what these people on TikTok, they're making these videos about the world's gonna end. Here's how, and they're showing.
It's just because the History Channel stopped being about history and started being about ancient
aliens. That's what it is, actually.
Do you remember the Nostradamus shows that they would have? They'd be like, Nostradamus said on this day that on 3829 AD, I know that's not an actual date. I don't know. I panicked.
It's so true. And then every year, people actually post Nostradamus's predictions for these, the year ahead or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's always so vague. Just like this whole, I mean, I have so many things to say about the line from the Bible. Because, average Joe on TikTok, you're suddenly so more learned than all the rest of us that you know how to interpret the Bible.
So holy and learned.
And you don't believe in astrology, but because this eclipse, it's a solar eclipse, it's going to pass the United States. That's another thing. It's the United States and so many of these conspiracies, I've just listed 2, but it's it's at the heart of it. Everybody thinks everything revolves around the United States.
Yeah. Oh my God.
World.
It's never about
Ghana.
Or gosh, Argentina. Yeah. Why is Antarctica ever unproblematic, moisturized, staying in its lane?
Right? I feel like by now, with all the global warming going on, we could actually inhabit Antarctica and be okay with it.
Not until that once the Doomsday glacier melts, but that's an actual name for it because once it melts, it's gonna flood everything. So Florida's gonna be underwater, the UK might be underwater.
So maybe that'll happen on April 8th.
Gosh, don't give them any fodder.
Sorry. I'm cutting that out.
Don't tell them yes or no. No, I'm just kidding. Then I don't have to go to Florida for a wedding.
I just don't understand why you want to have a conspiracy theory that revolves around the end of the world.
I want to have a conspiracy theory that's or something good happening where it's it's going to be beautiful and sunny tomorrow. And if you don't believe me,
It's because that doesn't elicit
fear.
it doesn't elicit fear. And then tying back to the whole pretty much theme of this particular episode, it doesn't force us to buy anything.
Oh, god damn it. I was thinking earlier too, when we were talking, this is kind of off subject, but when we were talking about how like we don't get any alone time and we don't have kids. We do not have kids. I have an incredibly
Dogs
needy
act like
Velcro
kids.
dog.
Yeah.
Like, if I want to go somewhere, it costs money.
Yeah.
Anywhere you want to go, it costs money. And it's like, I don't know. Like I can go sit on my back deck, but like my dog's gonna stand there at the door and be like, "Can I please come out?"
Yeah.
Like, please.
Or it's the other people you live with that are
Absolutely. And like I love my husband, but we've been together for 11 years and sometimes I just want to not see him for an hour.
Yeah, like, go to Costco without me, Velcro man.
Yeah, exactly. It's like,
I'm just kidding, Tom. I love Tom.
no, I know.
That was a joke.
Tom, he's gonna listen to this. Thomas, you little Velcro boy. That's a slur. But no, I
No,
love
I
him.
agree, right? It's like you can't.
Nothing's free. I can't just go get a cup of coffee and sit at a coffee shop
No.
because someone's gonna be like, "Hey, are you still using this table? I got a co-work here."
Yeah, right. Oh God, I'm not moving to Kansas City.
Anytime I like want to, no, it's actually pretty chill. Anytime too, it's like if I want to go out and have like a little Katie adventure, it costs $50 every time. Doesn't matter what I do, it's always $50.
Right?
Their Target, $50 store.
God, oh, thank you. We are on literally the same brain wavelength because I was gonna say sometimes when I need that alone time, I just go walk around Target and then I come out of Target with $50 worth of stuff I don't
In like
need.
a fugue state.
Yeah.
I'm like, what did I look at? I couldn't name a single thing.
But I know
saw
I was like in the cosmetics and hair aisle.
It used to be I could go to like Trader Joe's and be like, yeah, this is fun. But now every time I go there, I'm like, I feel like I'm doing an escape room, but it's like everybody else is also trying to escape, but trying to buy groceries at the same time.
That's how I felt about Whole Foods. It used to be like my vacation spot. And then it was just like,
Bezos spot it.
yeah, that's what it is. And now
There's
I'm
not even
like, I can't
there's
do
a
it.
bar at our local Whole Foods, but I'm not going to go to Whole Foods to drink. I'm going to go somewhere cool.
Hey, like, people are gonna see me at Whole Foods drinking a craft beer. No, thank you.
Honestly, like I don't want a Whole Foods cocktail. Like
No. I don't even, and even then,
I don't want to drink it while I'm walking around because then I gotta fucking deal with holding it the whole time.
and then I'm still gonna spend $50 there.
Really, on like one thing.
One thing, but no, I agree. It's like I'm at Target, like mindlessly shopping because I'm so kind of numb.
Yeah, no, literally, I have to like. Oh, that's the best way to describe it. Is just numb. Like I
And then
feel
it's
like
you buy something, and then you're like, oh, that made me feel a little better.
it's like the dopamine doesn't hit like it used to, though.
No, and then you get home and you go, why did I buy a jumpsuit?
Absolutely.
Like just because it was on sale? Like,
Yeah, I'm like, and then I take it back, and Target's like, "Hey, you can't return any more items. Every time you come here, you return something." And I'm like, "Because I didn't need it."
that's how I am. It's like, okay, did you open this? Was there something wrong with it? Nope, I just bought it because I was numb at the time, and
I
then
wanted the experience.
I wanted a
Dopamine.
and then when I got home, I realized I don't wear jumpsuits, so I don't need this particular jumpsuit.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. I realized that I was just going through something at the time. I just needed to look at something else, and I don't need 30 candles.
Yeah.
Tea lights. I don't need tea lights for any purpose. Gosh.
So is there anything else you want to say?
I just want to say that, take care of yourself during this time. Take care of yourself. Check in with yourself. See what you need. Ask for what you need. Ask others around you what they need.
God, what a great, easy but hard thing to do. Like, ask for what you need.
I struggle with that.
I cannot do that because I'm not used to doing that.
I feel like an asshole anytime I ask for what I need and I'm like, I need you to do this thing right now. People are like, I feel like I'm like, people are gonna be mad at me, but then people are like, okay. And I'm like, oh my God, that was so hard.
And then the whole time they're doing that thing, I'm like, I feel guilty. I can't.
I'm like leading up to it. Like the last time we were going to record and we canceled on each other, I was like, I
She's gonna
can't
hit
do
me.
it right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, don't want to.
I will say on this, heading into this eclipse, I kind of just want to go.
Yeah. I'm going to probably try and make some memes. Don't know what's going to happen with that, but we'll figure it out.
I really just wanted to do that on screen.
It's really good.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah. Take a breather. Take care of yourself.
Don't just, be
Just
there
don't.
for, just don't.